Hi there guys, and welcome to the second Q&A video that I've done on my channel, and it's something I've promised people for quite a while. It's something that people seem to enjoy and people seem to like, and it's always quite fun answering people's questions and seeing what people come up with. I've had tons more responses than what I was expecting. I think the last video I did had like 10 questions or something, and this time I've got about two sides worth of questions. So yeah, first of all, thank you to everyone for sending your questions in. You'll all be getting a mention and a note thing at the end of the video. So I've got a good mixture. You know, it's not all football. There's other different sports in there. There's stuff about, you know, my favourite music, favourite films and everything. So I'm not going to do it in any specific order. I'm just going to pick at them randomly. And it's quite coincidental how this video has fallen. Yesterday, today being the Sunday, yesterday I happened to pass 300 subscribers on my channel, which I'm over the moon about, because I'd actually set myself the goal to get 300 subscribers by the end of this year. So to do that before June, I'm quite surprised at, and really happy about, obviously. So so this can kind of class itself as a sort of celebration video. So without further ado, let's get on with the first question. What players would you like to see in at Leeds United next season, and what players would you like to see Leeds sign from other Championship teams? Well, it's a bit of a tough question, you know, when clearly there needs to be so much changed and so much done, you know, with the squad. I mean, I remember using this term last season, but you know, it is a complete rebuild of the squad that we need. You know, obviously we've found out some of the players that have been released, so we know that, but we don't know what players are going to leave the squad now. I mean, I imagine Ross McCormack is now going to leave, you know, after McDermott leaving. We'll get onto that in a minute. I'd be surprised to see Byram staying, although he did have quite a poor season last year. You know, after coming back from that injury, you know, he was definitely nowhere near the abilities and capabilities that we know he can do. So that might have put some teams off, but we'll have to see. So it's very difficult to say. I mean, this question's kind of merged in from two questions of what players I'd like to see in, and players signed from other Championship clubs. So you know, I would love to see you know, Bakary Sakho from Wolves. I think he would be the perfect player for Leeds United. To be honest, it's not a realistic hope, because I can probably see him maybe going to a Premier League club. You know, he's shown some real ability at Wolves, and I'm surprised he hasn't left sooner, to be honest with you. I know he was very close to signing for Notts Forest last season, but yeah, you know, someone like him, I mean, he's going to be expensive, so that's one main issue. And like I say, you know, maybe a sort of a mid-table Premier League club might come in for him, but I would love him at the club. Perhaps Liam Moore from Leicester, a decent young centre back. You know, someone to go alongside Jason Pace would be quite nice. Looking at players from sort of other Championship clubs, maybe the likes of, you know, Forestieri, or maybe Troy Deeney from Watford would be a good goal scorer to have in the team. Thinking off the top of my head, maybe a Chris Eagles from Bolton, something like that. Someone like Gareth McCleary from Reading, you know, he's a cracking midfielder, and again, someone who I think would fit in at Leeds United perfectly. And you know, sort of the only player so far that has been mentioned that might be coming to the club, and it seems like it's a possible one, is this Story guy. I can't really say that I know too much about him, but from sort of what other journalists are saying and people from over in Italy, and people that follow sort of the Italian leagues, he seems a pretty decent defender for Cagliari, and obviously having that link with Cellino, it seems like it might be a possibility. So you know, he's definitely someone that I'd welcome at the club. What rugby team do you support? Well, from growing up, I mean, I didn't really get into rugby league until I was sort of about maybe 9 or 10. And I mean, you know, just living 10 minutes away from Headingley, and the Leeds Rhinos, you know, it was always going to be the Rhinos. I didn't actually go to a match until, oh, it would have been 2003, I think. I remember one of my mates who was a massive Rhinos fan at school took us all to it was a pre-season game. I think it was something like Francis Cummings' testimonial or something like that. It was someone's testimonial at the club, and I just remember loving it. I mean, there wasn't a big crowd there, and it wasn't the greatest game, but I just remember really enjoying it. And soon after that, I got a season ticket there, so I went for about 3 seasons to the Rhinos. So I've always been a big Rhinos fan, and I'll always be support them and want them to do well. But as people know on here, since 2012, I've worked at Hunslet Hawks Rugby League Club. Again, a pretty local club, from South Leeds, and I've volunteered and worked there as a stadium announcer, as a pitch announcer. So reading the teams out, doing the try scorers, playing the music, and so on and so forth. And ever since sort of joining them, in the beginning, I wanted them to do well, but as time's gone on there, and I've just felt part of the club. It's a great community sort of family feel club is Hunslet. It's a cracking club, a great place to be. As the time's gone on, I've just found myself really supporting them and wanting them to win every game, and I found myself getting animated in the little announcers box that I have, and so nowadays, I mean this year in pre-season, there's always an annual game between the Rhinos and the Hawks, and I found myself cheering for Hunslet. So I think that kind of shows that I'm more a Hunslet fan than I am a Rhinos fan. Due to various reasons, I kind of went off the Rhinos a little bit. Sort of that was linked in with the journalism that I did. I had a few encounters with a few of the players that seemed a bit too far up their own arses, but that kind of put me off a little bit. And but obviously being part of the club like the Hawks, I'm always going to want them to win and them to do well. So I'm a Hawks and Rhino supporter, which for some Hunslet Hawks fans, I know that's going to be hard to bear because there's a bit of a rivalry there. But I can't always, I can't dismiss my love of the Rhinos since a young age. But definitely I'd say I'm a Hunslet fan over being a Leeds Rhinos fan. Biggest boxing fight live or on TV that you've seen? To be honest with you, I'm not a big boxing fan. I try to watch a lot of sports, and I like to think that I'm into most of them. But boxing is just something that I can never really get into. And I mean, the Frotch Groves fight that was on last night. I can admire it, and I can see why there's such a hype about it. But to be honest, I'm so glad that it's over and done with now. Just the thing that I can't stand about the boxing is all the talk leading up to it, and the rivalry between the fighters, because to be honest, they just look like absolute idiots. And I mean, this Frotch and Groves, quite honestly, I wanted them both to knock each other out last night, because I can't stand both of them. And I think there's so many egos in boxing as well. I'm not saying that they're all like that. I mean, I knew Tyrone Nurse quite well through university, being a Huddersfield lad, and really good to see that he seems to be doing well in the boxing world. And he always comes across as a really nice guy. And I know that all boxers aren't the same, but yeah, I mean, that's always sort of put me off boxing really. So I mean, I've not really watched that many. I suppose the biggest fight that I've watched, I mean, I've not been to one live. I suppose the biggest one I watched was when David Hay fought Klitschko a few years ago. All my mates were sort of gathering round at someone's house and invited me along. And, I wasn't interested, and I just remember not being interested. But I mean, to be honest, that's probably the biggest fight that I've seen live, because I just don't tend to watch it. Favourite ever Leeds player? My favourite ever Leeds player, it's got to be the Chief, Lucas Radaby. He's always been at club since I supported them. I started supporting them in '97. I think it was 94 when he joined the club. I think 94, 95, something like that. I think it was 94. And I mean, he is just a true legend of the game, but a true legend of Leeds United and the club. And it was just a pleasure to sort of, for me to grow up watching Leeds United and seeing the Chief, leading the team from the back. it was just always a pleasure to watch him play. You know, met him on a couple of times. I mean, he is just a true gent. And I mean, you know, people say about that smile that he has, and he just did always seem to be smiling. And he's been through so much in his life. You know, coming from South Africa, sort of growing up in the slums there and everything, and coming through various things and apartheid, and coming over to a new country and acclimatising there, and you know, being shot whilst he was over in South Africa, you know, losing his wife. He's been through so much, and yet you just see that smile on him, and you can't help but smile yourself. And you know, if anyone's ever going to read an autobiography, well, it's a biography actually, but read Lucas Radebe, because it is just such an amazing read, and it just shows what a career that he had. And for me, like I say, he's always going to be my favourite ever Leeds United player. You know, I was lucky enough to grow up watching Leeds in the time where, you know, we were in the Champions League, and you know, the times of Viduka and Smith and Kuhl, if I dare say his name, and you know, Woodgate, Boyer, all that team. And you know, they were all a joy to watch. They were all fantastic, some true skill there. But like I say, for me, it's always going to be the Chief. It's always going to be Radebe. If you could paint a picture of any scenery you've seen before, what would you paint? Now that's a good question. That's a question that I really like. First of all, I would love to paint. I would love to be such a great artist. Well, as many of you know, and I've mentioned on some videos before, you know, I'm pretty much in love with Italy. It's such an amazing country, such a gorgeous country. And on my first visit there, a couple of years ago, I went to Sorrento, and during that time had a trip up the Amalfi Coast there, and it is hands down, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. The scenery there, you know, that coast, the clearness of the water and the sea, and the little towns, it is just honestly the most impressive, glorious place I've ever been. So up that coast is a place called Positano, and it is literally a little town, village if you will, that is just literally on the side of the cliff, and it's just, they're all dotted along the cliff, sort of just like that, all the way down to the ocean. And it's you know, it's a place where people famously sort of go to get married. It's kind of those kind of glorious places to be. And sort of, if I was out on a boat, sort of looking down that coastline with Positano there, I'd love to paint that scenery, because it is, like I say, it is just stunning, and it took my breath away when I was there. And you know, I'll be very lucky if I see something that stunning again in my life. So yeah, I think that's something that I'd really like to paint. Who is your outsider for the World Cup? So I mean, when you look at the big names and sort of, let's say, the top four from the betting for the World Cup, so favourites, we've got Brazil at 3-1, which, you know, it's obvious, you know, they've got the home advantage. You know, when you've got players like Neymar and Oscar and Ramirez, Hulk, Fred, you know, players like that, you know, you're always going to be a favourite for a tournament. You've got Argentina at 9-1 again, Messi, Aguero, you know, Di Maria. Again, South American, you know, they're going to be used to that climate, so it's obvious that they're going to be up there. You've got Germany, you've got Spain, but then you look at Belgium at 14-1. Now, Belgium, of these sort of past few years, have just come up from nowhere, and have all of a sudden got this really talented squad, and a very strong squad as well. I mean, you look at the players, you know, we've got Benteke, Lukaku, De Bruyne, Hazard, Fellaini, and I think, you know, at 14-1 for them, they might do it. You know, it might be all different on a sort of world stage like this, but they've definitely sort of turned a few heads over these past few years. And like I say, they've built this squad and got a very talented bunch of players there. So I think, you know, that's a decent tip for an outsider. And then you've got Colombia as well, which haven't got the odds for them. I think it was around 20-1, 25-1, I think, for them. But I mean, they finished just second behind Argentina in the qualifying stages for the World Cup. And again, you know, they've always been a tough side to beat, sort of, from South America. and they've sort of always been sort of there and thereabouts. But I think this year again they're going to have that advantage of being acclimatised to the climate there. And again, it's just a slight possibility. You know, I mean, I would say one of those top four that I mentioned before are probably going to win it. But if I have to say an outsider, I will go with either Belgium or Colombia. Do you want Brian McDermott out? Well, that's a bit awkward. So obviously he is out now. 11:30 on Friday night that got announced. So I mean, the reason I didn't do a video on it is because I knew that I'd been mentioning it on here anyway. But it's not a surprise. You know, it was a struggle to find anyone that was surprised to see that this happened. It was never going to work between him and Chileno, no matter what people said or what they kind of said about each other in that sort of closing statement. I mean, in a way, it is a shame because, you know, everyone loved, well, not everyone, the majority of the fans, you know, love McDermott just for, you know, a lot of things were said about him. You know, his tactics were definitely not always spot on. His squad selections were certainly not always spot on. And, you know, fair enough, he deserves the criticism for that. But you could never deny his passion for the club. I mean, he just got Leeds United to a T. He knew what it was about to be part of Leeds United and to manage, you know, our great club. And you know, that desire really sort of helped him out with the Leeds United fans, I feel, and definitely with me. You know, it won a lot of people over. You know, again, such a nice guy. And you know, at the end of the day, he is he is a top manager, but he was working in tough conditions, and it's you know, it's conditions that not all managers are going to cope in, and it clearly, you know, it took his toll on McDermott, and it just didn't work out. You know, I mean, Chileno was quoted saying last week or 2 weeks ago, saying, you know, he's the right manager, but just at the wrong time, and in a way, you know, that is right. If he had you know, no circus going on around him and just had a decent transfer pot, you know, to deal with, then he probably would have done so much better at this team and at this club. And you know, it is a shame to go, but then again, in a way, it's probably best for him and it's best for us that he's gone. You know, and I wish him all the best, you know, wherever he ends up, and I'm sure that he'll do so much better at another club. Your favourite YouTube video that you have made? So for me on this channel, sort of the more popular videos are usually the Leeds United vlogs and all the Leeds United based stuff. You know, they always get the most views, especially, you know, if it's just after being a big game, or for example my away days videos, you know, they always sort of seem to get, you know, a good couple of thousand views. But I mean, for me, the vlogs to make, you know, they're not that exciting, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's just like this. You know, I'm just kind of speaking into a camera. So, you know, they're not always the most enjoyable things to do. But I quite, you know, the things that I get the most pleasure out of doing, and I feel are my most favourite videos, are the ones that, you know, I put a lot of editing into. So for example, again, you know, the away days vlogs, the away days videos, they're always enjoyable to do. You know, obviously it involves filming it at the actual game, then coming back and editing it, you know, putting music in and stuff like that. Or, you know, I really enjoyed doing sort of my end of year review of 2013, sort of looking back at the year, putting, you know, photos together, putting videos and stuff in, sort of doing a voiceover for that. You know, I was really proud of that one. But I'd say more recently the Who's Who, the Doctor Who series that I've started, I've really enjoyed doing that. It's been something really different for me. Again, it's involved, you know, quite a lot of editing. You know, a lot of my time goes into it. So those are probably my favourite ones that I've been doing. And like I say, it's not those that tend to get, you know, a lot of views really, which is sometimes disappointing. But those are the ones that I tend to enjoy doing more anyway. Who is your favourite band and what is your favourite type of music? So my favourite band, again, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned them on here before and I've had the music on here before. My favourite band is a band called Less Than Jake. I'm not sure everyone will have heard of them. Quite a big oh god, no, I can't believe I just said that. A big punk ska band from America. from Gainesville in Florida, and I mean I've been big fans of them since it'll be around 2001, 2002. I remember the first album I got was Borders and Boundaries, and I think for that reason that'll always sort of be one of my favourite albums. And then Anthem after that, and you know, I won't go into details, but yeah, Les and Jet, absolutely love them to bits. You know, I'll always love them. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They put on the best live shows that I've ever seen of any band. You know, even if you're not a big fan of the music that they do, you know, I would bet anyone to go to a Les and Jet gig and not enjoy it, even if they don't enjoy the music. You know, the performance that they put on and the entertainment that they create. You know, that's what it's about. You know, going to live gigs and seeing live music. You want to be entertained, and you know, I'd rather go see you know, someone like that. That, you know, after over 20 years of playing, you know, the bouncing around the stage, you know, getting fans up on stage with them, interacting with the crowd and everything. And then you get some bands that just, you know, they'll literally stand there, guitar in hand, and just sort of sing for 50 minutes, 60 minutes. No, nothing with the fans or anything, and that always bores me. So yeah, that's my favourite band. My favourite type of music, it's got to be sort of, you know, anything rock, sort of bordering onto metal, you know, ska, punk, reggae, that kind of feel to it. You know, I'm a big fan of sort of 70s, 80s rock as well. You know, I always enjoy that. So that's sort of the kind of genre that I'm into. You know, I enjoy kind of all music really. You know, stuff that I really struggle with is your sort of your R&B, rap, dubstep, all that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of dance music. You know, I do like some stuff, but yeah, I kind of usually stay more away from that kind of thing. Do you think Leeds United have realistic hopes of promotion next season? Honestly, it is impossible to say. I mean, it's realistically, I don't think so. I mean, Cellino keeps talking about a 2-year plan of getting up into the Premier League, but you look at how things are going so far. You know, I mean, pre-season is, well, not even technically started yet, but I mean, everything is just such a mess at the club right now. You know, there seems to be so much that needs sorting out. I mean, there's nothing, there's no real stability at the club in any form right now, and you know, that does worry me a bit. You know, the excitement of looking towards next season that I had when the season just finished is starting to disappear a bit, because I have no idea where we are going from here. You know, I have no idea who the manager's going to be. All I know is it's probably going to be a yes man, and that Cellino really is going to be in charge of the team and things. Really, I think that's pretty obvious to see. You know, no idea what players are going to be here next year, both current and players that are coming in. You know, you don't know what's going to happen with Cellino. You always have this feeling that there's going to be another case that might pop up from somewhere. And you know, with everything, the mess that it is right now, it is impossible to say how next season's going to go. But quite honestly, I think promotion is not looking likely really. But like I say, who knows? It's, you know, it's anyone's guess really. Megan Fox in Transformers or Halle Berry in Die Another Day? This is a question I wasn't expecting. I think it's got to be Megan Fox in Transformers. I've got to be honest, I've not really watched the Transformers films properly. You know, I've only seen clips here and there. I mean, Die Another Day, I think I was maybe 12 when that came out. And to be honest, Halle Berry's never really done it for me, to be honest. I mean, you know, she's clearly a very attractive woman. But yeah, like I said, she's never really done it for me. So yeah, for me, Megan Fox. I mean, she's quite a stunning lady. So yeah, Megan Fox in Transformers, I guess. What would be your starting lineup for England versus Italy? It's been a bit of a hard one for me to do this, because although, you know, I'm always going to be an England fan, I always want them to do well. Over the past couple of years, I've not been watching them as much because I found it so boring. You know, I always find the football really tedious to watch. I've just not got excited about the team, so I've not really watched too much of them recently. You know, I always only managed to catch the highlights of the Peru game from the other night. So I mean, the team isn't too dissimilar from the team that started the other night. I mean, you've got Joe Hart in goal, which I think is pretty much a given. And again, the back four is kind of a given. And it's that kind of worries me for the World Cup, because I think it could be stronger. But, I mean, you've got Johnson at right back, you've got Baines at left back, and you've got Cahill and Jagielka, you know, in the centre. Moving into midfield, I've got Gerrard and Wilshere starting in the centre. Got Lallana out wide, although I was kind of umming and ahhing between him and Milner, but I think Lallana's got that little bit extra to him. And out on the right, out on the left. I mean, Welbeck was there the other night. I mean, for me, Welbeck shouldn't even be in the England squad. I mean, he's not good enough up front. So out on the left wing, nah, not for me, I'm afraid. But then it's who you put there. I mean, you know, Oxlade-Chamberlain is more of a right winger, and you know, left wing is kind of a secondary position to him. But I would rather have Chamberlain there as his secondary position than Welbeck. And Sturridge and Rooney up front, again, kind of a bit of a given. You know, Sturridge has had a fantastic you know, season for Liverpool. I mean, he really has been on form. And although Rooney, you know, he shouldn't be a given to start for England, because for me, I know it always divides a lot of people, and a lot of people think that he is still, you know, one of the greatest strikers that we've got in the country. I think you know, he's starting to get past it a bit. You know, I quite agree with what Paul Scholes was saying recently, that he seems to be past his best. Although, you know, a lot of people and a lot of players have disagreed with that. And I'm not just saying it because he's a Man United player. Honestly, I swear to God, there's no sort of bias coming from that. But I just think recently, I mean, I've even heard Man United fans say it themselves, you know, he's not the player that he was. But then again, he's probably the best that we can sort of give, I suppose, in this game. You know, it'd be nice to see Lambert given a chance as well up front. But you know, I think we've got a decent chance with Sturridge up there. So yeah, that'll be my starting 11 for the game against Italy. What are your next season table predictions? Well, considering my form on predictions, last year I had Burnley to finish in 18th place. So I think that shows you how good I am at predictions. So I mean, it's difficult to say. It always is. You know, you always sort of have to go straight to, you know, the teams that have been relegated, the teams that are coming down. You know, Cardiff look like they're going to be quite strong already next season. You know, they've already made quite a few signings, especially up front. You know, Fulham, I can see them sort of maybe bringing a lot of youngsters into the side, and you know, I think they've got a decent manager if you know, if he stays with them. Norwich, again, it depends who they keep. You know, I think their team will be quite a decent side in the Championship. Look at who's coming up. Wolves should do all right, really. You know, it was a surprise how poor they'd kind of done the season before to get relegated. You know, when you looked at the individuals they have, but you know, they should probably do all right. We've got Rotherham coming up as well. They might struggle a bit. I'm not too sure how they're going to do. And I can't remember who else has got promoted from League One. Oh, Brentford. Again, difficult to say. You know, they'll probably be there and there about sort of fighting above relegation, I would have thought. I think Leeds are probably aiming for mid-table, really. And after that, it really is, you know, again, anyone's guess. I would imagine Reading would maybe try and be up there again this season. Brighton as well, although they just got rid of the manager, so it depends who takes over there and how things go there. Derby, you've got to think they're going to be going for it again. You know, they've got a decent squad there, and they've got a decent manager in McLaren. So, you know, I can't really give any real predictions because I'm just so poor at it. But all I can say is, as always, it's going to be such an open league. You know, it's probably going to be one of those where anyone can beat anyone. I can't see anyone running away with it, sort of like Leicester did, really. I mean, it was a bit close last season, but Leicester were kind of comfortable winners in the end, weren't they? So, yeah, I think I think it's going to be a bit closer next season. What is your favourite film? It's always a tough question to answer that, but I think I'm going to have to go with Airplane. It's just, it's always the first thing that comes to my mind when people ask that question. You know, when it comes to films, I'm a big comedy fan. You know, I do like my horror films as well, but it's mainly comedy that I go for. And Airplane is just the top of the list there when it comes to comedy films. It really is such a great film. You know, Leslie Nielsen in it is just, he's just a legend, isn't he? He's fantastic. And you know, to go without the Naked Gun films as well, you know, it's just right up my alley, that kind of humour. Love Monty Python films as well. You know, they're true classics. Hear No Evil, See No Evil, or vice versa, I can't remember which way it is, but I always loved that film as well. You know, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in that are just fantastic. It's a wonderful film, is that. So yeah, I'm going to go with Airplane as my favourite film. What is your earliest World Cup memory? So, as I've mentioned, you know, I got into football sort of late '96 into '97, and so obviously my first World Cup memory is France '98, and it's quite amazing how much I actually remember of it. I remember my primary school showing one of the games. I think it was against Tunisia when we won 2-0. And I remember Paul Scholes scoring a pretty decent goal from outside of the area. I also remember the Argentina match and Owens won the goal, and Beckham getting sent off. And I remember, you know, being so disappointed, even though, you know, I was only so young. I mean, I was 7 years old, but no, 8 years old. No, I would have been 7. I'd have been 7 years old, you know, before my birthday. I just remember the disappointment of losing that game. Who are your favourite YouTubers? Well, I mean, I've got quite a few. I mean, I really do watch, you know, I've subscribed to a hell of a lot more YouTubers recently, and I'm trying to sort of vary the content that I watch. But I think I'm always going to go to the first guy that I really sort of got into properly with YouTube. I mean, you know, YouTube was always one of those things that I'd, you know, watch videos on, but it wasn't until 2012 that I really started sort of subscribing to people's videos and, you know, watching daily videos and stuff. And that for me was Nerdcubed, and he was the first real sort of gaming channel that I subscribed to. And you know, I always love watching his videos. I love hearing his, you know, opinions on the gaming world, hearing his opinions on anything. To be honest, he's you know, he's a very opinionated guy. I don't always agree with him. I don't always agree with his sort of choice in games and his criticisms of games. But you know, that's what it's all about. But you know, he's a great you know, content provider. You know, he always puts 110% into the content that he makes. Aside from that, you know, really like In the Littlewood, or In the Little Woods, Martin in the Littlewood anyway. You know, I always love watching him. You know, the Yogscast as a whole. You know, I think they're really fun group of guys. Another individual from there, Sips, he's just hilarious. I really love watching him. Away from that, there's Emma Blackery, who is fantastic. She's such a talented girl. You know, she's very funny. Again, creates really good YouTube videos, and musically, she's so talented. I went to see her the other night. I actually put a video on of one of her songs. But again, such a great girl. And yeah, you know, like I say, I watch so many, but those are probably my favourites, with Nerdcube sort of been that #1 favourite really. What is your favourite LUFC kit and favourite badge? My favourite LUFC kit, I was always a fan of the half and half blue and yellow away strip. I think that was around 97, 98. I really liked just the plain all yellow away strip, which was the Strongbow days, around the Champions League days. And favourite badge, I mean, I quite like the badge that we have at the moment really. I mean, looking back, you know, the smiley badge is a sort of an iconic one, and I think, you know, everyone loves that. If you could learn to do anything, what would it be? Well, I mean, everyone always sort of says like learn a musical instrument and everything, and you know, I would love to do that. You know, I love my music, and I do have a guitar which I can only play very basic things on. I would love to learn it more you know, more in depth really and have proper lessons, but I just don't have the time really or the money at the moment. So you know, I'd really like to learn the guitar. What are your favourite Sky One and Sky Atlantic TV shows? Well, I'm probably going to upset a few people and say that Sky Atlantic is a channel that I don't think I've ever watched. You know, I know that there's so many big TV shows that have come from there. I think, you know, Boardwalk Empire's been on there, Game of Thrones. I'm not too sure if Breaking Bad was on there or not. I might have mixed that up. But it's a channel that I just don't watch because, you know, it's always things that they're really big and really long series. And because, you know, I already watch quite a lot of stuff. You know, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I have series and my own things that I watch on my TV upstairs, which doesn't have Sky. You know, I've only got a Freeview upstairs, and I have Netflix. So you know, Sky Atlantic, again, it's not something I really watch. As for Sky One, you know, I suppose like all-time favourite Sky One things, you know, The Simpsons always been on there. You know, I love The Simpsons. Things like Futurama, love that. You know, back in the day when Soccer AM, when it used to be good, was on there. You know, I used to watch that. An Idiot Abroad as well. It's, you know, that's one of my favourite all-time programmes. Absolutely love Idiot Abroad. And they've all come from Sky One. So yeah, nothing from Sky Atlantic, but all those that I just mentioned from Sky One. Who is your favourite comedian? Again, I think I've gone through this before on my channel, but my I always struggle for going for number one and number. No, I'm going to go with Ross Noble because he's the comedian that I've sort of loved so much for the longest really. It's always a toss up between him and Bill Bailey, which I mean I love them equally, but just because I've been to see Ross more, I would probably go with him. But you know, Bill Bailey, I still say to this day, is the best live comedy show that I have been to. I went to see him a couple of years ago at York Barbican, and he is just, oh, he's a thunderstorm on stage. He's so talented, so fantastic. You know, the music that he brings into it, and he's just so genuinely funny and naturally funny. You know, things that don't, you know, go to his script or to his plan. You know, he's good at, you know, interacting with the audience again. You know, not quite as much as Ross Noble does, obviously. You know, that's why I love Ross Noble as much as I do, just because you turn up and you don't know what to expect, and he doesn't know what to expect. It's mainly, you know, there's no script, and it's just whatever happens with the audience, and for me it's that makes it really clever. You know, there's so many other comedians that I could go through, but those are my top two, with Ross Noble being my favourite. So that's it for this this Q&A, guys. Gone on a bit longer than what I thought. I didn't realise there were so many questions there, but really enjoyed that. Some you know, decent variety of questions there. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's entertained you guys. So a big thank you to everyone who sent questions in to me. Like I say, I'll give you a mention at the end of this video. And I just want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers and to everyone who has been with me for the past it's about a year and a half now. You know, when I started out this YouTube channel, I didn't think I'd sort of go past maybe 6 months doing it. You know, I just had this idea of doing these vlogs. You know, I never thought I'd start doing gaming stuff. I never thought I'd start doing heavily edited stuff. I never thought I'd have this interaction with you guys, you know, doing Q&As like this. And you know, I know it's just 300 subscribers, and in the YouTube world it's not that much, but at the end of the day, you know, that's 300 people that sort of subscribe to me to watch the content that I provide, and for me that means so much. I mean, it really does. And you know, at the end of the day, it's you that I create the content for. I want to entertain you, and that's why I try and keep so much variety out there. You know, like I say, I know it's the football videos that tend to get the more views and the more interest, but I know there's some of you that do subscribe to me and follow me just for the gaming videos that I do. You know, I try to put some music videos up there, you know, when I go to live events and that. And you know, I'm always trying to think up of new things to do, and hopefully this year, you know, I've got a new camera, I've got a new tripod set up. You know, I'm trying to add new things to my computer and make that a bit better to, you know, edit and deal with. So, you know, hopefully I can have a few more things, you know, this year. and you know, maybe get a few more subscribers. Like I say, you know, I was aiming to get 300 subscribers by the end of this year, so to do that just, you know, not before we've even made it to June, you know, I can't quite believe it. And like I say, it really does mean the world to me, guys. As you can see, I'm sort of rambling on now, but it really does mean everything to me, and I'm just so glad that so many people feel that they want to subscribe and follow me and enjoy watching my videos. So yeah, like I say, a big thank you to everyone and everyone watching this. As always, if you want to get in touch, then do so in the comments below or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC. And yeah, I'm not sure what the next video is going to be. Probably going to be a few gaming ones for the next week or so, and we'll just see where it goes from there. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.